Welcome to Pushing Your Peers podcast, the number one podcast in the region for living a progressive and happier life.
Today's episode is a special one in collaboration with the Department of Social Development. Joining me is Debra Morency, a bold, God-fearing, and outspoken young lady with a powerful story to tell. Deborah shares her experience in foster care with honesty, insight, and a whole lot of heart. From overcoming change and embracing growth to finding support through her foster mom and social workers, this episode shines a light on strength, resilience, and what it means to push through. So sit back, relax, and let's get ready to push some peers.
Deborah, welcome to Pushing Your Peers podcast.
Thank you. I am happy to be here.
Can you tell me who is Debra Morency?
I feel like 3 words: bold, outspoken, happy. I have a very giggly spirit. I don't know. I feel like whenever I'm laughing or whatever, it tends to spread to people. And I'm not scared to say what I have to say with respect to adults or whatever, although we live in a world where adults feel as if children shouldn't exactly state their opinions. But I feel like we can once we do it with respect. And what was that? Bold. I feel like bold ties into also being outspoken. I'm not scared to say what I have to say, again, with respect. I feel like in summary, that's who I am. I'm God-fearing. Also, I am Christian. I believe in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I know that, I am a sinner. I have a lot of things to work on. We all have things that we have to work on, and it's going to take time. And I know that it's going to take time for me to become the person that I want to be, that the Lord, who the Lord has called me to be. And yeah, I think that's, in summary, that's it. I could go on, but that's it.
I think that's perfect. I'm hearing a lot of self-awareness. I'm hearing a lot of activists.
Yeah.
Future activists. We were having a conversation earlier, and you were talking about your passion for law. So tell me about that.
I feel like a lot of people, from what I've seen, even being in school and stuff, I realized that some people don't exactly know how to defend themselves. Some people are scared to even defend themselves and don't know what exactly to say or how to say it. And I feel like acquiring a skill where, I already do it, but I feel like every skill can be improved. And I want to improve that skill of defending people and in a more professional way, which is by doing law, becoming a lawyer, which is why hopefully, God's willing, I can go further into educating myself in the law career.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Deborah, you're here with us today to talk about foster care.
Yes, sir.
So tell me about that experience, your overall experience being in a foster care program.
My overall experience, to be honest, it's been, how do I say it? If I could find a word, it's been rainbow. Not always rainbow, but things will happen because, again, you realize you're also a child coming from a background of, having parents or whatever, and you also have ways that you already acquired from before, and then you have to realize that when you come into this person's life, you will find challenges, and they will also find challenges in having to deal with your behavior that you didn't know was bad until you realize that, hey, this is actually bad, and then them having to try and help you with those behaviors. And then if you're a person that doesn't really I don't really care, I this and like that, and I this and like that, you have to realize I'm human. I'm gonna have ways, I'm gonna have flaws or whatever, and I have to acknowledge those flaws in order for there to become change.
Right.
Yes.
Let's talk about the foster care process. Is this the first time you've been at a foster? Is this your first foster home?
Yes, it has been. Yes.
So tell me, what was day one like being in the program?
Day one wasn't, I feel like it was what I wanted, what I expected because of background reasons. We're not going into detail about that. But because my foster mom is someone that I have known even before I came to live with her. Okay. So it wasn't too bad for me personally. It wasn't bad. It was good because I knew her. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So tell me about the relationship with you and your foster mom.
It's giggly. She's funny. She's very funny. Again, yes, I do give her challenges at times, and I thank God for the patience that He's giving her to deal with it. But it's very funny, giggly. I'm basically like her friend, and sometimes I feel like I stray away from that. Like kind of, become a little too thing when I have to realize that she's an adult, Deborah, calm down. Again, I'm still a child growing and learning and whatever. So I try my best to, keep that relationship as realizing that is your foster mom. So we have to keep that respect. Yeah.
And what were some of the challenges you had to overcome being in the home?
I feel like some of the challenges is change. One of the biggest thing that I feel like I can't handle right now is change, because the having to deal with a life where change occurs every minute is a change. It's a change, like in a snap of a finger, boom, my life changed. Snap, change, snap, change. So it's like now I'm at a point where my life is normal, where I want to stay like as it is. Like I don't want anything else to change, because I feel like it's happened too much for it to like happen again, if that makes sense.
Perfect sense. You talk about change, and there was someone guiding you through this new change. And that would have been your caseworker or a social worker. So tell me about dealing or having someone like that in your corner while you was going through this process.
To be honest, I'm a mature person, so I already know these things. So basically whatever is said to me is not something that I already know, it's something that I'm reminded of, so it's like, I guess having someone there to remind me that, it's going to be okay. Life happens. I know that. Again, being reminded, life happens. It's not going to be like this forever, and then there's good in the bad, there's bad in the good. You have to look, there's beauty. Like, there's this singer that said there's beauty in the struggle, ugliness in the success.
That's J. Cole.
J. Cole, yes. So we have to look in the bright side of the bed. There's always that little light in the darkness that we.
But I want you to talk about your actual caseworker or your social worker, what the relationship was like with her.
I had two social workers.
Well, tell me about that. Yeah.
My first social worker, English kind of bad. My first social worker was Miss Janet Waite, and my second is Miss Remy. Both of them so far I love that they embrace me. Like, I'm dramatic sometimes, but I try not to be, she has helped me in a way to understand that these things are going on for a reason, and it doesn't stop me from progressing in life. Yeah. And Miss Remy, she just started with me, and so far I love her. She allows me to be dramatic and the person that I am, and also gives me correction where it's needed, helping me to understand that Deborah, being this way again, we all have flaws. We all are human who have flaws. So Deborah, this and that. You cannot be doing this because this is why. It's not to bash you, but to realize that in order for you to become a better person, you have to get rid of these certain things.
So it seems like you have a good support system around.
I do. Yes.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I want to touch on your day-to-day life now. This is a new life you're in. So tell me about that. Tell me about your day-to-day experience being a foster child.
Okay, my day-to-day life is basically church, school, my auntie. I'm always around my foster mom. I call her my auntie, but she's my foster mom. I always around her, and school. Basically, I try to, whenever I go to school, I try to tell myself that I have one goal being here, and that is to get all A's. I pray to become valedictorian one day, hopefully. And church. I'm church every Sunday. I don't think I missed a Sunday since last year. So
that's a typical TI thing, being in church.
Yeah.
Maybe Caribbean too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing because it helps you, to become, how do I say it? God-fearing. Yeah. It helps you to understand the Bible and why we were created and purpose, etc.
And it must have helped you also with everything you went through.
It did.
Because, everything has a purpose.
It does. Yeah. I feel like I learned that every obstacle that is thrown your way is to help to strengthen you for more to come. Sadly, I will tell myself, there's more to come, but you can't avoid it. So in order to, how do I say, armor yourself, you need to be strengthened. And only way you can be strengthened is when those obstacles come.
You know, Deborah, you have such a strong personality.
Thank
and
you.
I want to know, who do you look up to apart from your social circle that you've mentioned, apart from your auntie slash foster parent? Who else do you look up to? Who else are you inspired by? Because I'm seeing this fire inside of me. I'm trying to figure out where this fire is coming from.
To be quite frank, I won't say that I really have a role model. But what I can say is every person around me has an impact. Every person that I associate myself with has an impact on me, and it helps me to open my eyes to realize. I feel like my biggest role model, like, it's not really a person, but like, I feel like it's my future self, who I want myself to be. Yes.
So you already have this future self mapped out.
Yeah, I do. I do. Maybe it won't come as I want. God's, whatever the Lord's will may be. But that Deborah that I see is like, that's my role model right there. And that's my goal.
You said that and it reminded me, if you want to make God laugh, you tell him your plans. Because it never works out how we think it's going to work out.
Exactly, And I feel like, in a way, it's a good thing, because we as humans, we don't always know what we need. We know what we want, but we don't necessarily know what we need, and the only person that actually knows it is the Lord. And he does these things to help us to become what he wants us to be, because he knows that what we want may not be the right path for us.
You've been through this now. Mm-hmm. There might be a new person going through the exact same thing that you're going through. Mm-hmm. What advice would you have for them?
Advice I would give them is, whatever obstacle come your way, just know it's not to stop you, but to help you go forward. I went to this program today for women's empowerment. I think one of them spoke about that every obstacle, you use it as a stepping stone instead of a wall to stop you from achieving what you have to do.
Powerful.
Thank you.
Now, Deborah, this is Pushing Your Peace podcast. Yes, you wouldn't be a guest on my show if you didn't push your peers.
Yes, sir.
So any word that begins, or words, it could be multiple words that begins with the letter P, that has been transformational to your journey, you now have an opportunity to push your peers.
Okay, I probably have like 3 words in mind. I'll probably just give 2. The first one, I feel like all of us have been thinking about it, positivity. I feel like a positive mindset has a great impact on what we want to happen in life. Say, for example, when it comes, I can relate to the student part where exams are happening. And then our generation have this thing where we always say, man, I can fail, I can fail, I can fail, I can fail. And then, like, I'm a person that sits back and I think. And then I'm like, the tongue has power. We all know from the word of God, the power lies in the power of the tongue, right? And it's like we say we're gonna fail, instead of saying, although yes, I might not have understand this particular subject, but having a negative mindset on it will not actually help you to succeed. But if you tell yourself, I can do this, I will do this, but you cannot just say that and expect, and you cannot just say that but don't do any work towards it. It's not going to actually make progress. But a positive mind has a great, great, great impact in success. Peace. I've heard my foster mom say something similar to, your peace is non-negotiable. And trust me, it is. I feel like money can't buy peace. And I feel like, personally, I prefer to be broke and peaceful, because being peaceful, it helps your mind to actually relax and not fixate on things that can work out themselves. A lot of people tend to worry about things that happen, and think, oh, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that. But not realizing that, sit back, relax, let the Lord do what he got to do. Just be peaceful, That's it. I think that's 20 piece I'll give you today.
That's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
There's a quote from there that I'm going to use in regards to peace. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Deborah. You're coming to the end of the show. And there may be someone watching who would want to take on a foster child. What message would you have for that person?
The message I would give to that person is, it's not perfect. There will be challenges, but love that child like your own, And please be patient. Be aware of the fact that they came from somewhere and they're not going to be exactly like you want them to be. But patience, love, understanding is going to take you and them a long, long, long way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you've been in the system.
Mhm.
Is there any changes you would like to see happen to the program?
Not necessarily. I think everything can take improvement. I can't really give the critiquing, but everything takes improvement, it takes time, everything can improve. But no, not necessarily.
Okay. Final question. What I already know the answer is, but I'm still gonna ask. What are your hopes and dreams for the future?
My hope and dreams for the future is to one day become a lawyer, own my own beautiful penthouse, own a charger, own a truck, and build my relationship with the Lord.
No activism?
Maybe not. God's willing. God's willing.
Because I see you fighting for Psalm. I know what it is, but you fighting for Psalm.
Oh, maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. For now, I don't know, but maybe in the future it will happen. Tune in to see. Maybe.
Well, Deborah, I just want to thank you for coming on the show.
You're most welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, Debra Morency, a future activist, lawyer, and a successful child in the foster care program put on by the Department of Social Development. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week on Pushing Your Peace podcast.